Hi, I'm Sam Sells, and welcome to my podcast, Clean Money. I like to say investing matters, and my show is to talk with everyday folks that are not only creating great success, but making an impact in society and improving the lives of others. That is my mission, and I want to share my stories and others with you. Welcome to Clean Money. Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining with us for another great episode of Clean Money, where we talk about making a difference in the world through our investments of time and resources. My guest today is none other than the Stephen Pesavento, who is a president of Von Fitch Capital. You've done so many things. I don't even think I could wrap it all up in a short blurb, but my goodness, you've had a great career in real estate so far. You've done over 200 homes when you were doing single family homes that you flipped. And then you went into multifamily, and then you just kept going and going and going. You also have a great podcast. I've listened to a lot of your different episodes before we ever even met. And I've always really enjoyed the things that you had to say. So thank you for joining the show. I've been looking forward to this for a while. And tell us a little bit, or tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you enjoy doing so far.
Super glad to be here, Sam. I appreciate what you're doing in the world. And, you know, my name's Stephen Pesavento. I run a private equity firm called Von Fitch Capital, where we're an investment manager and sponsor. And then I run a podcast called The Investor Mindset. And we've got a new show on the Investor Mindset called Name Your Number. And at the core of what we're really focused on doing in the world is we're on a mission to help over 1 million people become financially independent. And one of the big core pieces of that really comes around financial education, both for young people, for kids, for people who are well into their career, or people who are getting closer to retirement. What I've found is that a lot of people don't really have a solid understanding of where they're at financially. They don't have a great plan about how they want to get where they want to go. And even more, don't even have a clear vision of what that looks like. And so I found that to be a really, really powerful tool. And once you have that knowledge, once you understand this, then it's easier to be able to step in and start making those decisions about whether you should get involved investing in real estate and private equity, in notes and other types of investments that can actually be a vehicle to get you there. But you got to know where you want to go, and you got to know where you're at in order to start planning that journey.
Yeah, excellent point. Why is it that people don't know? You would think, we just know we want to be rich or we want to have lots of money, but why don't they know where they want to go?
Well, people don't know where they want to go because it's a scary place to set out and commit to a vision of what you want in your life if you don't know that it's possible for you to get there, or you have some kind of set of beliefs that says, yeah, that's for other people, that's not for me, right? And so one of the most powerful things is listening to shows like yours, shows like The Investor Mindset, being able to hear other people's experiences out in the world and how they've actually gone about moving from, point A to point B to point C and throughout kind of that journey. And what I found is that when somebody actually starts seeing that it's possible, when they start having that idea planted in their head, and then they actually sit down and get clear and ask themselves, what do I really want? Why do I want this? What's important to me? How am I going to spend my time when I'm working? How am I going to spend my time with my family? Do I want to travel? Do I want to be stationary? Do I want to have a big, huge house that is something that only somebody could dream about? Or am I happy having something, more modest? At the end of the day, a lot of people end up getting caught up in this, let's look at what everyone else is doing, and then I want to have what they have. And that's where a lot of unhappiness comes from. That's where a lot of demotivation comes from, because people look around and they say, hey, I'm actually not happy where I'm at, but I'm not really sure how to get where I want to go. And until you get a clear vision of what you specifically want and create your specific vision for your life, then you're essentially going to be operating in a space where you're just following in other people's footsteps. And it's great to do that if you're going in the right direction. Otherwise, you end up building a business or working a career or making investments that end up moving you farther forward, but it might not be in the direction you want to go.
Absolutely. So Um, I've seen this happen so many times. I've done that myself, gone down a path that um, was not the right path for me, and we were unhappy. And I remember when we sold we had 5 acres, we had animals, had a cow, which is now in the freezer, by the way. She is so delicious. Sorry if that is offensive, but chickens, and we love being out there on the farm, but with work and doing everything else, it just became too stressful. And when we sold that and got into a really small 1,600 square foot house with a beautiful view, man, like all that tension came off, and we feel much happier, right? I can focus, do the things that I need to do on the real estate side, help other people. We can volunteer more, and that stuff brings us more happiness. And so what you're talking about, Stephen, is really, introspective. Take a look at yourself and say, okay, I have a why, but where? Where do I
Yeah.
want to go? And do I really need this thing or not? And when I've worked with so many other real estate investors who want to become syndicators or want to get in this space, that's the first place we start with is each path you take has a different lifestyle. Like you said, notes. If you're investing in notes, if that's all you do, that's a different lifestyle than a sponsor has or an operator has or, some, stock market person or whatever. There's different lives, right?
Yeah. And so I'd love to talk a little bit more about how you actually go about figuring this out and getting there. But I'll tell you a little story about myself. When I was young, I grew up some amazing parents, but they hated each other. And money was such a big piece, right? They got divorced when I was really young. Oldest of 4 kids, grew up in the Midwest, Minneapolis specifically. And I learned the art of hard work. I saw my family work blue collar jobs. My mom was a server, single mom of 4 kids. My dad worked in the same sales job for the last 15 or 20 years. And they've been able to make a good life for themselves, right? But while we were growing up, there was so much pain around money. There was so much fear around it. It was always those stories of, go ask your dad for it. We can't afford it, this and that. And so when I was young, I didn't know that it was possible, but I started seeing some examples of other people that were doing it. I had a grandfather who died when I was young, but his legacy, the idea of the life that he was living as a businessman really inspired me. And so, I went the traditional path. I went to college, graduated university, got a job in management consulting. It was prestigious. It was cool. I went in and, solved problems for big companies, but there wasn't passion. I wasn't excited about it. I looked around at the people who were my bosses and their bosses, and I said, I don't really want this life, right? And so I went and talked to the managing partner of my firm, and it was the largest firm in Minneapolis by a number of consultants. And she told me, do you know what you're walking away from? Like, you're on a track to make a lot of money, be able to create a heck of a career. And I told her, I appreciate what I've learned working with you, and I really am grateful for your mentorship. It's just that I can see that if I keep going down this path, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah.
And then I continued, down the entrepreneurial path, trying things, multiple businesses not working, some of them working better than others, working in technology. And then eventually I found my way to real estate, and in 2.5 years, we flipped 200 houses. I started with no money, negative money in the bank, and was able to figure it out because I got surrounded by other people who had figured it out. Yeah. But what's so fascinating about this, and why I believe so much in this vision thing, is that coming from that upbringing, coming from that place of scarcity and fear, and everybody trying to do their best with what they had, and a lot of trauma around that, I did a lot of personal development work, a lot of mindset work. The investor mindset was really born out of an obsession with personal growth, obsession with understanding how do we communicate better? How do we get more introspective? How do we know ourselves? How do we let go of things from the past that aren't helping us so that we can move forward in the future? And through that process is what led me to being able to have success in business. But, flipping 200 houses is a phenomenal business, worked with some great people, had some great partners. And yet what I realized is, just like other career paths that I'd been on before, that I had set out with a vision of what I wanted. I wanted to have passive income coming in. I wanted to be able to live a life where I could unplug at any moment and be able to have the income that I know would continue supporting me no matter what. But what I had built was a business that relied 100% on me all the time. Sure, I had a huge team, but if I wasn't there to make sure that the drum was beating and they were moving forward, it didn't happen. And, in 2019, my younger sister, we were spending some time together, a couple of weeks, and she was driving home and she got in a car accident and she died. And when that happened, what it did was it made me realize that although I had a vision of creating this business and I had proved to myself that I could do it, that I wasn't free. Because when I was knocked out of commission for a few months dealing with the grief of that, anybody who's been through that understands how hard that can be. It made me realize and recognize how so many people deal with terrible and tragic and tough things all the time. And you can't plan for them.
Right.
Except you can. You can by actually going out and getting clear what's important in your life, and then creating a plan to make sure you have a backstop that, for example, when I got knocked out of commission, my business wasn't running as smoothly anymore because I wasn't there to keep beating that drum. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I've seen it personally. I've experienced it. I might be a young guy, but I'm building for that future and that vision of a family and having the ability to spend time with people. And I think when people connect emotionally to why they're going after something, why it makes sense to learn about investing, how they're going to make an impact in other people's lives as a result, whether that's close to home with their family or out in the community, that's the things that motivates us to actually move through the tough times of learning something new until the point where we actually feel comfortable and confident to do it over and over.
Yeah, great insight. And it's amazing what you learn through that tragic experience. And then as they say, it's like a hinge point in your life. So instead of, pivoting a little bit, I guess you made a major change. You left that life that required so much of your time and input, and then you started doing something different. So tell me why. I mean, so now I know the why you left, and now I know why, or the reasoning behind that motivation and building a better lifestyle. It wasn't about money. It was about time and freedom. So what did you start doing? Why did you, where did you go?
Well, the interesting thing is I got clear on what this was all for, right? It wasn't just about making money, but yes, it's about making money, because money is a tool that allows us to solve problems in ways that being broke doesn't. Right. If you've got a lot of money and you've got some kind of healthcare issue going on, I had some really bad long COVID symptoms for a year, wasn't cognitively functioning well, I could throw money at it. I could work with some of the best doctors to get to the bottom of it and be able to be in a position where I'm performing better than I ever was. But what it really was about was figuring out, what is a business that I want to run forever? Who are the people that I want to work with over and over again? And most importantly, what is it that I'm providing out to the world that's going to make an impact? So from a business standpoint, that was the vision. The vision is around ideal client. The vision is around mission. The vision is around how we're making that impact and how we're helping people. And then, of course, how it's actually going to get me personally closer to that number that I named for myself. And so, although I work harder today than I've ever worked, and I've always been a hustler, but the difference is that I know what it's for. And right. I know that the time that I'm putting in today has purpose, because it puts me closer to that number that I named, that passive income target in the future, so that I'm optional on whether or not I want to continue on this path and on this mission. And truth be told, I don't think I'll ever retire. But what is nice to be in that position, to be able to make that decision. So I'm there. I could stop working. I could live a quality life right now, but I don't want to. And so what Name Your Number is really all about, it at the core, it's about getting clear on specifically what is that passive income number that's going to pay not only for all of your expenses today, how you're living your life today, but also having that visionary growth number of what your ultimate life looks like. And when you get clear on that, when you get clear on your finances today, and a lot of people are turned off about it. I don't love getting in and doing budgets and things like this.
It's
But
terrible.
when you figure out how much you spend to live and how much you need in passive income to cover that, then you know that you're set. Your current lifestyle is set. You can continue to live it. If something happens, if you get hit by a bus and you're living in the hospital for the next year, you know that you can cover your family's expenses. Let's put aside the medical side of that, of course, but you can put yourself in a position to take control. And then you can also have something that you can progress towards too, which is that ultimate life vision. And I think it's so important because when we get that target in our mind, it's something that we can track to. We can see, hey, how are we doing? Are we making progress? Are we getting closer? And then everything that we do in our work, whether it's business, like I'm on a mission and you're probably on your own mission,
Right.
but for those people who are working in their career, maybe it's a job you don't even like, but all of a sudden you can love the work you do because you know that it's going to put you closer to that place in the future.
Absolutely. Understanding that the impact of the things that you're doing, it matters. A long time ago in a galaxy far away, when I was an undergrad, I had this guy came in, and I remember seeing him show up as a guest speaker. He showed up in this busted up minivan, and I was like, okay, who's this guy and what is he going to teach us, right? But he got in there, and the principles you're talking about right now is exactly what he talked to us about. And he drew these lines on this graph, and one of them was, this is your expenses over time. People, as they make more money, their expenses go up because they get a nicer house and a nicer car and blah, 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 blah. He said, and then your job goes up over time. You typically make more money over time, and then you go down because you retire, et cetera. This is the American dream, right? And he said, well, what if you have passive income that you drive, and then it gets to the point where it overcomes your expenses? Now you could keep your expenses low, so that's much faster, or you can have a ton of expenses, and then you need a ton of passive income. He said, but when it hits that point, it's called the point of choice. You can now decide what you want to do with your life. You can go volunteer. You can go start a company. You can go live on the beach. You can go climb mountains. Whatever you want to do, you spend all days with your kids because you're at a point where you have freedom. And that is where it's all at, and that's where we need to go. And so for him, he liked driving around beat up cars and living in a house in the middle of town on the main thoroughway because it was less expensive, because he wanted to get there really, really quickly. And then he just lived his whole life like that. I don't want to drive a beat up minivan, so I have a different point, right? And so for your number, exactly what you're teaching is that, that freedom point, that point of choice. And it makes all the difference. Talk about joy and happiness. So I know you've hit your point at some time in your journey. How did it feel when you finally got there? And then was there, or did you change your point after that?
So the process of naming your number, it's more than one number, but we're focused on one. We're focused on one point in time, and there's a progression. So when I hit that first point, when I hit that place where I knew my day-to-day expenses were covered, it felt freeing. I'm at a point where I can do anything I want. I travel, I stay in nice hotels, I enjoy things. Now, I don't live a lavish life like some people you might see on TV, but it's not important to me at this point. Now, it's something that I'm working towards, and I'm enjoying the process because I think it's all about life's about experiences. But I want the listeners, I want you guys to be able to do this for yourself. And it's a really powerful process. And so what we've done is actually taken out the first section of one of our workshops. And I put it together into a PDF form to give to your audience. So if you guys want to grab that, the passive income vision planner, It's a process you can actually walk through to get clear on that vision, to set your first target. And you can do that. You can grab the worksheet. You can work through that on your own. You can get it at investormindset.com/number. You just go to the website, download it, start working through it. It's like 8 or 9 pages. But when you answer these questions and you work through this process, it's very powerful. So that's investormindset.com/number.
So I'll make sure we put that in the show notes, and make sure we tag it there so that they folks can hit the link and follow it, or they can type it in themselves and go after it. But thank you, Stephen. I really, really appreciate that. I appreciate you joining the show, sharing that great free gift with our audience, because I know personally that it makes an incredible difference. You will be amazed when you feel the stress come off of your back because you no longer have to go to work. Now, I still work my guts out because I want to. It's my choice, just like you do. But I don't have to. And so that's the difference. And that's the stress reliever. Thank you for joining our show. Thank you for all of the impact you're having in people's lives. You have a target of 1 million people, investors. Ours is 1 million residents. So the other side of that coin, that's been our target for a while. It's on our website. Tell the listeners where they can find you and listen to you.
So I think the best place is you can head over, you can download and subscribe to the Investor Mindset podcast. So search Name Your Number by the Investor Mindset on your favorite podcasting app, and you can listen on there. Or if you're interested in following along in some of the personal journey of going out and naming my number and doing this publicly, working through building my own passive income stream so you can get inspired to do the same, you can find me on Instagram at Steven.Pesavento, or the same on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. Really appreciate it. Really enjoyed this call. You certainly delivered, and I have been waiting for this for a long time. So thank you again. And I know we can talk for a long time, but we got to go. Thanks, everyone.
So much fun. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, everyone, and make a great day. We'll talk to you later. Thank you for tuning in to Clean Money, where we talk about sustainable investing that improves society. We are passionate about creating great investment returns to investors who want to use their money to make a positive social impact in the world. If you enjoyed the episode, we'd appreciate a 5-star review. And if you are interested in making your investing matter, please connect with us at wildmountaincapital.com, or you can find me, Samuel Sells, on LinkedIn, on Twitter at Sells_Samuel, on Instagram at Clean Money Sam, or on Facebook. And finally, make your investing matter.